Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spoiler Warning Podcast. This is review number 817 with a review of Wicked for Good. I'm Christopher Schnese.
And I'm Stephen Miller.
And if you're joining us for the first time, the Spoiler Warning Podcast is a weekly film review program. Each week in the show, we're going to dive in, debate, discuss, and argue over the latest films coming to a theater near you. This week, we had a conversation about The Running Man, and now we're talking about Wicked, for Good. And to get started, Stephen, I have a work smarter, not harder question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's pretend that you have like an opponent that you're trying to defeat, whose kryptonite is water. Okay,
mm-hmm.
And let's pretend that you have the power to control storms.
Sure.
Would you concoct an elaborate scheme involving a cyclone, or would you just make it rain constantly?
Well, wow, I can't believe I'm about to explain the point of Wicked to someone. What if my opponent is not actually vulnerable to water? What if that is propaganda that was invented by the masses?
It doesn't matter what the truth is, Stephen. It matters what the scheme is.
But if the scheme would reveal that the propaganda is bullshit, how is it going to help me?
But at the end of this film, do the people who are propagandizing that information not believe the problem has been dealt with?
It kind of seems like you are suggesting a core confusing aspect of this film that we can get into in the actual review. But if my nemesis were in fact vulnerable to water, yes, I would probably choose a weather pattern that makes water fall from the sky. That would be a very good way to hurt my opponent.
Okay.
I contend to you that most of the time, maybe in this movie, water does not, in fact, hurt my opponent. And that might be a bit of propaganda that was false.
We'll definitely get into it.
Yep. I think you are getting into what to me is the most confusing aspect here, which is what do people believe? When does propaganda work and when doesn't it work? And what the fuck is Glinda doing? But yeah. we can get in that in the review.
All right. Should we dive into this?
This might be the
episode?
earliest I've ever tipped my hand into how I'm feeling about a movie.
This is going to be so great when this turns into you defending this movie to me. All right. With that out of the way, Stephen, or is that as a prelude to the conversation we're going to have eventually, let's go ahead and take a listen to the trailer for Wicked for Good, and then come back and give the fine folks who are probably still listening right now a review.
Elphaba Throp, I know you're out here. Just come in before the monkeys spot you.
There's no going back. This is between us, the wizard and I.
The Wicked Witch can't elude us forever. Not with Prince Fiero and his squadron hot on her trail.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's my creed. The wonderful Wizard of Oz. No one believed in you more than I did.
Elphaba. They're coming for you.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. I know I'm who I am today because I knew you.
Think of what we could do together.
Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun. Like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant war. Who can say if I've been changed for the better?
Bring me the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West.
For a while there, I thought you changed.
I have
changed.
It's time for both of us
To fly!
Because I knew you.
You're the only friend I ever had.
Because I knew you.
And I've had so many friends.
I have been changed for good.
But only one that mattered.
I'm off to see the wizard.
All right, so that was the trailer for Wicked for Good, which is Wicked Part 2, which we learned at the end of Wicked Part 1. It is the continuation of the story that we last saw, and I'm not even going to try to describe the plot of this film because it's fucking nonsense. Stephen Miller, what did you think about this film?
Oh, man. So I didn't hate this movie. Like, I'll get this right off the bat. Wicked, the franchise, is about spectacle. And as with the first movie, there is spectacle on screen in terms of the grandeur of the world. And one of my immediate feelings was, well, he at least landed the plane. Like, it's over. We did it. I don't love the look and feel of the movie, but it is big in scope, and they nail the one song that they have to nail. And so whatever, he did the thing. I'm not dunking on this as the worst movie of the year or anything like that. When I think about the plot of the movie, I am just deeply confused. And with Wicked Part 1, I was a fan of the music and some of the spectacle, but I complained about this kind of strange time aspect of the movie where it both felt it was long and it felt both like it was rushing and it didn't have enough things to say. It was this weird combination where the movie stretched out for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And if you summarize the plot, you could put it in a sentence or two, and yet the glue between events, it felt like we were missing things. Why did a character suddenly change? Why are they dancing and crying now? Why? What is going on? There was this weird dynamic where it felt like the time was not well used if you were trying to build characters that you deeply cared about. And I didn't know how good I had it in Part 1, because I think Part 2 suffers from this problem to an immense degree. This is a movie that the moment it ended, I was thinking back over what occurred in Part 2, and I just get confused even thinking about the character arcs, right? This is... The real problem, I think, is structural. It comes from the musical, and it comes from the decision of cleaving these into two parts. Because what they did is they made Wicked Part 1 be all about this unlikely friendship between two very different people, right? Between Elphaba, who is the outcast, but has a mind of her own and has some strong inner convictions, and Glinda, who is the vapid, popular one who, over the course of the movie, learns to care about someone else. Do I think Part 1 really did those characters justice? No, not really, but the songs did a lot of heavy lifting. The actors were both great. They pull it off, and by the end you feel okay, we got this unlikely friendship. Part 2 has to take that friendship in a plot that cannot possibly sustain them being friends, cannot possibly make us root for both of them at the same time, and somehow tell this dark kind of satire about propaganda and this cautionary tale about the way hordes of masses can be bought into some lie, and how being allied with the bad guy, there's no way to do that while retaining your own goodness. You have to pick a side. It has to do all that while also making us be reminded of, oh gosh, aren't they cute and wonderful friends, and don't we love seeing them together, and don't we want to see them together again? And it just doesn't fucking work. You can't do that with this movie. This movie is very much Glinda's story in terms of who has a start point and an end point, who is changed for good. Not to spoil the movie, but
I couldn't tell you how, Stephen, outside of the song.
Right. The mechanism Yeah, exactly. The mechanism is a mystery, but this is really Glinda's movie because Elphaba at the end of part one has already figured out everything. She knows the wizard is full of shit. She knows that there is this oppression of animals that she doesn't stand for. She has picked a side. And this whole movie kind of has to figure out how to make that interesting for 2 hours and 15 minutes. You know, how to make it still feel like her character is changing and being pushed and pulled in different ways. Meanwhile, Glinda is like, she has to be so, for lack of a better word, like dumb in this movie for it to work. Like she basically has to be like serving the bad guys while not feeling like she's serving the bad guys until the very, very, very end, so we can get a song and see some kind of change that will be moving. And to me, that is just like the fundamental flaw of this movie, is the two characters we are meant to love and care about don't have anything to do.
So I think the performance choice of the Glinda character in this, from the beginning, she's supposed to be ditzy, right? She's supposed to be a vapid, ditzy person, right? She's like a mean girl, like quite literally, right?
Yep.
Are we on the same page there?
Yeah.
In a normal thing, you could, letting the character be self-actualized and intelligent, come to the decision that, yes, the wizard is bad, but it is a net good for society to believe in a thing that is the wizard. And then they are rivaling over the fact that, like, yes, I believe you, let's take him down, but let's not take him down because society will collapse if we take him down.
Of course. Do you work within the system or do you work outside the system?
This film
there's
is
definitely a way to do this.
Yeah. So it could be done without her being dumb. But I think that, like, whatever it's doing is so, like, I was talking to Jamie, and the way I described it is I said that it feels like somebody asked them to cut this movie down. And then they were like, but we can't cut the songs because that's what people love. So they cut everything except for the songs. And it's just stringing song to song to song to song to song with no context between those songs. And it's like, watching this film, you get the exact same experience as if you did nothing but listen to the soundtrack. And I don't know how to square that circle or whatever, right? Like, it just, sorry, I interrupted into your thing. So
it's good. It's fine. And I do think we should do some spoilers just because I don't know what counts as a spoiler here. And there are particular examples of the tonal mismatch and confusingness that I definitely want to get into. But the other flaw, which is not Jon M. Chu's fault, like this is just in the musical, plain and simple, is this movie has to do a lot of heavy lifting to turn it into a prequel for The Wizard of Oz. It needs to pay off a lot of things that were teed up. It needs to pay off the talking animals. It needs to find a way to tell us how all the characters that Dorothy will meet along the way become those characters. It needs to find a way to tell us how the Wicked Witch was actually vanquished, you know, as the beginning of part one showed us it was going to do. And in order to do that, it has to spend like the first hour and a half maybe just kind of racing through a bunch of largely disconnected things that only exist to do that fan service. And because the characters can't really change or have much of an inner thought life, because I feel like, as I established with my first issue, they just aren't defined well enough to do any of that. It has to just be a bunch of kind of references and spinning its wheels. So there are a lot of times here where they try to drop like No Place Like Home, you know, No Place Like Home. Isn't that wonderful? They try to bring back The Wizard and I, even in a sentence that grammatically isn't correct anymore. They try to do a lot of just like remember part one and also remember The Wizard of Oz in a way that just I found tonally all over the place. And it's kind of weird because I knew what was going to happen in this movie. I had read the Wikipedia of the musical before in my life. So like I knew who was going to turn into who and how they were going to get there and what it would have to race through. And I was like a little bit excited for this movie because I thought it could be grand spectacle, right? Part one is the first Harry Potter or whatever. We're watching like people at school get to know each other, and it's a very personal story. Part 2 could be like the Deathly Hallows, where like, okay, now we're in like big universe warfare. Like, let's just blow it up and make it be about the whole Oz thing. And the choices that were made, it seems like they wanted it to still be about the two characters everyone loves. So they kind of like split the difference and made it be a world that is theoretically big, but it's just zooming in on two people and having them sing about feelings that we don't really have any motivation for. And I feel like it didn't satisfy either side by choosing to do that weird middle ground of being a little bit personal and a little bit of the grand tale about propaganda and the masses and hatred. So yeah, I feel like this movie is quite a mess and did not really know what it wanted to execute on. And I'm really curious if fans walk away loving it because they love these characters, or if fans will also feel disappointed in part 2.
Yeah, I definitely can't speak for the fans. I can only speak for myself. Steven, I think this film is a hot piece of garbage. Like, I actively hated my time in this film.
Wow.
And,
okay.
You know, like, you said that part of the problem with this film is the decision to cleave it into two halves. I think cleaving it into two halves was the smartest thing the studio could possibly do, because if both of these were the first film, the entire film would be garbage. But instead, you have like a self-contained first story that, while it's using the characters, kind of is its own thing. It has enough going on to sustain its own, like, as you said, that story makes sense. People go to Hogwarts, and then, you know, like, there's one person who's not magic and there's one person who is. Like all the pieces are there to make it have enough stuff going on to sustain itself. This film is nothing but, like, you can't even call it fan service. It's just, like, you made the statement, this film has to do X, like 4 different times in what you were going through. I would argue it doesn't do any of those 4 things at all. This is a film that doesn't even string, and I don't know how much this is the story itself or this film being chopped to bits or being compressed so much, but there was so much stuff that makes zero sense. That, like you said, it has to explain how these characters team up with Dorothy and what they're looking for in The Wizard of Oz, and like, you have to explain that. I would argue, no, you don't. I understand that the person who wrote Wicked decided that's how they were going to backdoor their way into a story people already loved. But to me, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. There's one character transformation that I guess thematically, technically makes sense. Like, somebody did X, I'm going to do X. Me doing X removes X from this equation, and that's bad for somebody. But I don't understand how turning them into the thing they get turned into solves the problem of not having the thing that they're looking for later. Like, it makes no goddamn sense.
This feels like we should go to spoilers, because that was a very... I know what you're saying, but that was a very confusing statement, and I don't know if you should do X and then record this podcast. Because the energy levels...
But, like, and then you talked about the animals, right? Yeah, first part of the film was like, there's this whole thing where the wizard, for reasons I can't remember, is like speciest and wants to get rid of all the animals and wants animals out of society, right? This film starts with a scene where there is, rhino bison type animals lugging stuff. And a soldier says, no talking. But the animals aren't speaking. But you go, oh, that's right, animals can talk. And these animals have been enslaved. But you're using the imagery of what animals normally do now. So you have to do all this mental gymnastics to go, oh, that's right, those are people. So this is supposed to be a bunch of people dragging the cart, not an animal dragging the cart. Even though the animals that are being told not to speak are not speaking, there are so many shots of animals in this film where the animals don't speak, because then they'd have to pay the actor that played that role in the first film, and they're not going to do that for this movie. So I kept watching this film going, like, there's so much stuff that you're theoretically closing the loop on, or tying the bow, or whatever analogy, but the story doesn't take any time to reacclimate you to this world. Like yes, in the first film, animals were being like kidnapped mysteriously. And then I guess we get a shot where we find where they put them all. But but like there's just no like, oh, wizard's bad, but maybe he could be good. I did a dance, so now I'm on the wizard side. Oh,
that is the best example to me of the kind of amnesia this movie requires, because it is resolving things that were already resolved in part one. Is we have to have all the characters wonder again whether they can team up with the wizard and be enchanted, and then find another reason to not be anymore. The only reason to do it is that there's a song that requires it to happen.
And then like there's a scene in this film where a character goes, "You can hide out in my family's castle." It's like, cool, but where's your family gonna be? It's like, oh no, we have another castle. Where's that castle? Right next to our other castle. And then when you see the castle, it's uninhabitable. The only person that could inhabit it is a witch with a bunch of monkeys. Right?
Yep.
And it's like, there's so much stuff that like, I'm like, I guess you're referencing a thing, maybe, but like, there's no rationale for anything that we're watching. And this could be, as I said before, this could be a story that has something to say about whether it's, as you said, better to like go along with something for the greater good than it is to actually fight and bring down a thing that actually can topple other things if that thing goes down. But I feel like this film does nothing. And then here's the biggest sin in the world, Stephen. Again, I'm just going to echo stuff I said from the first film. Outside of a single song, I think the music in this film, the songs in this film are actively bad. Like, this is a musical, and the best music in this film is like the score where nobody is singing. Like I thought there's too many songs that are talky songs where it's like you sing 4 words and then you have a conversation, then you sing 4 more words. And I just felt like this film had no bangers in it to get me over the shitty story that I was watching. So yeah, I don't know, Stephen. This film made me actively angry.
I think it has a few good songs. I mean, For Good is obviously the ace in the hole. That's what like they knew. They named the whole movie after it, like because they know that that's what they've really got going on. I think No Good Deed is pretty okay. I also, even though the attempt to reuse No Place Like Home kind of annoyed me because it doesn't really actually fit in Elphaba's message at all. I thought the song was somewhat catchy, so I'm okay with the music.
Stephen, can I ask you a question about the song "No Good Deed"? Right?
Sure.
So when I try to do good things, bad stuff happens. So I'm just gonna skip to the bad. Like,
oh yeah, it makes no sense. Don't get me. This speaks to, and again, we'll get to it in spoilers. The emotional whiplash required of both Elphaba and Glinda in order for the songs to work is outrageous, and it's why I think it's like impossible to play them in a way that is relatable because it's just musical logic. It is Broadway logic, and I don't know how you can transpose it onto a quote realistic epic type thing that they're this 2-part journey that they're putting us through. Yeah. I agree with you. I'm going to say something else, too, that I said in part 1 that you disagreed with at the time. I wonder if you still disagree with it. I continue to think whatever Jeff Goldblum is doing makes no sense in these movies. I think it didn't make sense in part 1, but at least he was just this like weirdo, vague huckster that you only kind of have to hear about, so it's okay that he's doing the whole Goldblum thing. Here it is, to me, actively goes against what the wizard has to be, which is some version of a threat or menace, like a big bad. And instead he just seems like, oh, I guess I'm in the movie again.
First of all, I feel the same way because I still love the fact that he's just doing his own thing. Like, he's like if Willy Wonka was even crazier than Willy Wonka is, right? Like, he's basically just doing his own thing. And every time I saw him, I was like, I don't know what he's doing, but at least I have this, and it's semi-entertaining to me. Not in the context of the film. To answer your question, I don't understand with it. I also don't understand how this is the one film in the entire existence of time that doesn't understand the idea that any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. This is like a thing where they're like, oh no, guys, he's not magic. He just has technology. Technology is magic. Like, that's his superpower. Yeah, he can't read
He's
the
Iron
grimoire, but like he can make shit fly. It just isn't flying with magic.
Another note for spoilers is like, who can read the grimoire and why? Because I don't understand those rules either.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Like, I think making a platform with a bubble around it fly is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Like if I had the choice to like make monkeys sprout wings or have a bubble machine that floats around, I would take the bubble machine 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. One thing that I briefly looked at my review of part 1, and one of my criticisms was there had been a tweet or a skeet or whatever the fuck it was back then, of someone writing a review of Wicked Part 1 saying that they should have cut out the animal subplot and they should have cut out the stuff with Nessa. And it got dunked on by a million people being like, tell me you don't know the play without telling me you don't know the play. This is like the whole thing. This is required for part 2. What an idiot. Didn't they do any research? And in my review, I kind of agreed, where I was like, look, for part 1, as a standalone movie, that stuff doesn't really fit in and it doesn't really have a lot of meat on the bone and it feels like a weird diversion. In that review, I said, like, but I assume it's going to pay off part 2. And I just wish it had felt good enough to make sense in part 1. I feel like it doesn't pay off in part 2. Yeah. I feel like part 2 doesn't know what to do with those things. I feel like the character of Nessa, like every other character, she is required to do like Herculean emotional gymnastics over the course of like a single song in order to get where she needs to go.
Yeah.
And the animal stuff feels like an afterthought. Like, it is the driving motivation of Elphaba, why she does what she does, who she is, why she is at war with the wizard. And they barely know how to remind us that we are meant to care about talking animals.
Yeah.
You know, it's very strange. And I think it is well summed up in the character of the Cowardly Lion, voiced, by the way, by Coleman Domingo. So 2 for 2 in our recording session today. Yeah, I could not have told you that from the like 5 lines that the character has.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess I'll get into it in spoilers. I won't get into it here. But his motivation for why he is who he is and where he stands at the end of the movie, to me, summarizes how little this movie knows what to do with the whole talking animal idea. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. And another thing that doesn't make sense is like, the wizard needs animals as an enemy for people to rally around. People need an enemy so they can come together and rally and do things. But why? Like, what are the social problems in Oz? What are the governance challenges that need to be solved? What is the real threat that requires a fake threat? I feel like the movie, despite its 2 hours and 20 minutes, like, doesn't spend a second trying to tell us that. And I don't blame Jeff Goldblum for that, but his character delivery, where he just kind of like mumbles and hoop-haws and then dances around, like, that is where an explanation should have been. I mean, there should have been some meat on the bone, and instead we just get Jeff Goldblum dancing and doing the Goldblum thing.
The real problem, Stephen, is that Oz was great, and then the animals came, and the animals were taking the people's jobs. They needed to get rid of the animals. I think... First of all, that comment that you were talking about, that you were recalling from when we were reviewing the first one, I'm 100% on board with that. Like, if you remove the animal subplot and the sister, I think the film, some of my complaints go away. But you could even do it halfway. Remove the talking of the animals and just have this be like a animal rights sort of film where it's
cages
like
cages or no cages.
Yeah. Like, you could do that. Tell the same story. It's not that animals need to be removed from society. It's that animals were free and now they're all being captured like Pokemon and being forced to do jobs. Like, I think that you could have done that, changed it just that little bit. And I know people are throwing up or freaking out about like changing this original beautiful source material. But I just think that like that would at least give you something that doesn't have to, like, you can just look at it and go like, animals should be free. He's capturing them all and making them build yellow brick roads. obvious problem. We don't like that. Like, it's fine. You don't have to make it that, like, well, my professor got kidnapped because he's a goat. Like, it just,
Yeah.
it just didn't. It makes no goddamn
But
sense.
the metaphor as a scapegoat, you just don't understand.
Oh my god!
You don't understand what it's doing.
Steven, I must see. I just now it. The problem was that I wasn't getting that he was a scapegoat. What's the bear?
I don't remember. What is her name? She's the Dulce Bear. Was she the nanny?
Yeah,
she was her nanny growing up, I guess. She's a metaphor for bears.
Yeah,
I don't know.
She was kidnapped because the film is unbearable.
See, it's funny that you feel this, because I never hated this movie. Like, I look back on it and I'm like, wow, well, that plot made no sense. But I guess I was just ready for the plot to make no sense because I had spent enough time on Wikipedia, like, knowing what it was going to be. But yeah, I think you hate it more than me, but I do think it is a hot mess for sure.
I think there's one of the character transformations that I cannot do any kind of mental gymnastics to derive the connection between what is happening to them and what they become and what that character is searching for later. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, that character should be searching for life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
we can talk about it.
Okay.
I love being vague, as if people don't know the Wizard of Oz.
All right.
Like, the biggest spoiler we already did, which is that, like, there will be transformations to the characters that you know from the Wizard of Oz. But it's okay. We don't need to say who.
Yeah. You get the origin story for a couple characters.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think we should go to spoilers.
All right. We're about to go into spoilers, but I guess we're going to do a pre-spoiler verdict. Stephen Miller, if you were going to even say must see, recommend with a caveat, wait for rental, pass with a caveat, or a must avoid, what would you give it?
Oh gosh, I think you've convinced me. I'm going pass with a caveat. I was going into this gonna call it a rental because I think it's like a hot mess, but it does land the plane in the sense that the story is wrapped up. And if you saw part one, you obviously want to see part two. But yeah, there are a lot of problems with this movie.
Yeah.
I retroactively like part one more than I did in real time. Because I think part one tells a story that is somewhat compelling. I think the music in part one is good. I think the events of part one are memorable enough that they're still in my mind a year later. And part two just doesn't have any of that. Like, part one, I watched again around Christmas time and I liked it. Okay. You know, I can't conceive of wanting to watch Wicked for good again. I just don't see any itch that it would ever scratch. So caveat is, obviously you're going to watch this. You watched the first one, like go watch it. But I think it is, for anyone who doesn't care about the Wicked franchise, I think it is pretty passable. I think you will have a better time watching part one and thinking, oh, it's weird they never got to make a sequel to it.
Yeah. I mean, the wild thing about where they split it is, first of all, this second film makes the first one look like a masterpiece. But the thing too about where they split it is, I think that's enough connecting material to the Wizard of Oz. Like, if they never made Wicked for good and that story ended with the witch flying off,
they tee up the Wicked Witch and the broomstick and the flying monkeys. They hinted the Yellow Brick Road.
You literally don't need to do anything. You did
Eagle-eyed
everything.
People might even know one of the three characters that Dorothy will meet and where they come from. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think it's a better overall spanning narrative than putting this piece of garbage in between it.
I guess it's very different, though, because it would require the ending to be more of a Cruella thing, where it's like, oh, this is how they actually got evil. Or they need to tell you why the things you thought were evil weren't evil. And I think that's the heavy lifting this movie is trying and mostly failing to do.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the first one makes sense. It is a character who thinks there's something wrong with it and finds out about a god who can possibly change that. Then finds out the god is a lie.
Mhm.
And then when the god tries to silence her for knowing he's a lie, she decides to burn the world down.
Mhm.
That's fucking done. Like,
Right.
dust your hands off. That is a complete story, a complete thought. I can do all the work in my head to understand how this person became evil. Like,
Yeah.
this world, this false world ruled by a false god is a lie, and I want to bring it down. It's basically what Glenn Powell's doing in The Running Man.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking there were multiple similarities in my criticisms of this movie and The Running Man to the point where I couldn't remember which I levied at which movie halfway through this review.
I want to do a director swap and make Edgar Wright make this. And I specifically at the scene where a character is explaining why a lion is cowardly, because I feel like he has the right tonal way to be able to communicate that sort of absurdness.
Yeah. Yes. The most ham-fisted line in the movie, potentially.
But yeah, it is going to be a must avoid from me. I just said that you could delete this movie and it makes all three movies better. But yeah, that is going to do it for the non-spoiler part of this review. If I haven't scared you away already, we're about to talk spoilers. But for now, Stephen Miller, if people want to find you throughout the week, where can they do that?
People can find me at Blue Sky at sdavidmiller or sdavidmiller.com.
You can find me at ChristopherInRealLife.com or ChristopherIRL on a number of social platforms. You can find the podcast over at thespoilerwarning.com where you can get a bunch of the back episodes of the show. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on Overcast, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever podcasts are found. If you want to know when the episodes go live, you can follow us at twitter.com/spoilerwarning, facebook.com/thespoilerwarning, or instagram.com/thespoilerwarning. If you want to get a hold of us directly, you can send an email to fans@thespoilerwarning.com, or you can use the contact form on our site. Music for this episode will come from a track selected from artlist.io, so hopefully you're enjoying that. That music is playing now. That music is going to fade up. While it's up there, we're going to read the grimoire. That music is going to fade down. And then we're going to be talking full-blown spoilers. So, see you in a moment. Stephen Miller, we are back. This is the after part of a review of Wicked, for good. I'm heated.
Yeah.
Partially because I shut everything to try to isolate the sound in this room,
Smart.
but also just because this film had me heated. Where do we start with spoilers on this movie?
Whew. Well, I mean, I guess we can start with your opening question about water. So, because it hints at, to me, what is the very confusing aspect of this movie. I think it's clear from the beginning that though Elphaba is not, in fact, someone who will melt if you throw water on her. Like, there's even a scene where Fiyero hears the common people saying that, and he talks to Glinda, and he's like, do you hear them? The crazy things people will come up with on their own just to hate someone. Like water would kill them? What are we talking about here? You know? And yet, later, when Elphaba is pretending to die and having water thrown on her, we watch as a teary-eyed Glinda sees it through the crack in a door and weeps and goes to the grave believing that her friend died because a little girl from the Midwest threw water on her. And to me, that summarizes the tonal confusion of Ariana Grande's character. She is meant to believe Elphaba is actually good, but kind of believe all the propaganda, but know that it's propaganda and choose to go along with it. And I don't know what her inner thought life looks like in this movie.
So I think you were tying too much of my question to Glinda's beliefs and observations. If we can put her aside for a second.
Okay.
There is a moment in this film that I guess is supposed to be dark, where Elphaba's upset, and she basically begins to fill buckets of water before she concocts this plan, where it's like she is gonna kill herself. I don't even remember that happening, but I didn't read it that way. She's like in the middle of a sad song, and she's like she's like pumping water into a bucket, but then she doesn't take the bucket. And I might be misremembering this, but it was like, I was like, oh, are you just going to go out and just like try to dump water on yourself and die? Like it was super weird.
I assumed she was already planning her escape, basically, and she knew that the water thing was the way she was going to end it.
Yeah. Well, either way, that song was confusing to me. And the second thing is the shot of Scarecrow Man coming to get her out of the spot that she could have just opened herself, but I guess she needed to wait for him, who was in another location altogether, to come tell her it was safe. She couldn't just listen for the fact that nobody was there anymore because she supposedly melted. That is shot as though that was supposed to be a post-credit sequence, but nobody was going to stay through the credits, so they put it before the credits. To me,
it seems like they want the audience to kind of think water will melt her, which blew my mind because the movie makes it very clear that is like a random thing the regular folk, the Munchkins, concocted, you know?
And in the original Wizard of Oz, there's no hint that the water melting thing is a lie, right? This is like a completely
that's
made
a
up
retcon that Wicked is doing.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense that the films people only think it's true because in the future it will have been true. And that's the part that makes me just go like, okay, so you have these scenes that hint to we're supposed to believe it true filmically, even though clearly it's not true. But like that being a quote unquote reveal is not really a reveal, but also who cares? And like when she's standing on the thing singing out to Elphaba, who just became Dune, she's singing looking out at the thing she can't see. So I assume she's singing to somebody she thinks is gone still, and then believes that like her sudden ability to read the book must have come from her afterlife presence having been melted into water. Yeah, so I just...
Yeah, Glinda believes that Elphaba died, which is part of the many crimes of Grindelwald in this movie.
I see what you did there.
Just to reference another franchise that did not really know how to end. Glinda, at the end of part 1, she, along with Elphaba, has learned that the wizard is full of shit. She also presumably has some level of fondness for animals, right? She changed, even though it was performative at first, she changed her name to Glinda in solidarity with Goatman. You know?
Am I just dense, or do I not understand how the G is a goat? Is that just the sound a goat makes?
No, it's because the goat can't go glug. The goat goes gah.
Okay, that's right. It's been a long time since I saw that movie.
The comes from the goat noise.
Yeah. It was too hard for him to pronounce it.
You need to watch part 2 all over again now. So, that context is everything.
Yeah. I missed scapegoat. Okay, so he couldn't pronounce it, so she changed her name to something he could pronounce, even though he was in jail.
Yeah, and that was like, that was a performative, at the time, that was like a virtue signal because she was still just trying to be liked and popular or whatever. Yeah. But by the end of part 1, we are meant to kind of like Glinda. We're meant to think that she is whatever, but she is good. Elphaba is her friend, and she just doesn't have the bravery to go her own way. She needs to be a part of this world still, so she wishes Glinda well as she flies off and defies gravity, and she's going to stay behind. Fast forward, Glinda is now, supposedly, because the movie tells us this, it doesn't show us it a lot, Glinda is the symbol for goodness. She is the good witch. She is no longer in school. She is working at the Emerald City. You know, she goes around representing to people goodness and virtue and is pit against the bad witch. And we have to watch Glinda kind of like it because she likes the limelight. But then also she cares about Elphaba and likes Elphaba in a way that I don't understand what she thinks she is doing, because she is allied with people who are actively trying to kill Elphaba, you know, like the whole time. And those people are still doing horrible things. They're locking up animals. They are issuing orders that make people and animals not be able to travel anymore. They are doing all the things that are like moving towards this evil fascist state. And the movie has this weird juggling act it has to do where we have to watch Glinda reckon with all that and also think, oh gosh, isn't Glinda funny? Isn't she cute? You know, don't we like the way she tussles her hair? And Elphaba is supposed to still like Glinda too. And I find that just incredibly confusing.
Yeah. I think if we stuck in a like high school or college genre of schooling and it was like they were both popular girls, but Glinda needed to try to eke out and be the more popular one, so she's making up these lies about how evil Elphaba is, then at least that would make sense, the outward rivalry versus the inward they're actually friends and like each other sort of thing. But that's not what the story is.
Okay, I'm not going linearly because I know we're going to go back and talk about some transformations, but I have to talk about, to me, the most tonally confused part of this movie is the tornado happens, right? Yep. Mirabel caused it, which, by the way, Mirabel was clearly being built up in part one to be the big bad, like the actual power that is evil. I feel like they cut half of her scenes in this movie because we just don't get much of anything of Michelle Yeoh here, which I find odd. But anyway, house has fallen on Nessa, you know, and Glinda is mourning. Poor Nessa, you know. Elphaba shows up and is there. There is a fight that becomes, in my reading, playful. Like, Cynthia Erivo laughs at something Ariana Grande says, and then they have like a slap fight, you know, and they're doing a whole like... They're angry at each other, but it is played for laughs. It is a whimsical scene of these two characters going at it and imitating each other and being all pissed off. Elphaba's dead sister, her sister's body is under that house right next to them while they are doing this like cutesy friend reunion kind of fight thing over Fiero's feeling. Like it is very weird.
Canonically, when the slippers are taken off, does she fade away or roll up or something weird like that?
Yeah, the feet roll up.
Yeah, so in theory, the dead body isn't there, but spiritually, that's where she died.
I'm just saying, Elphaba has just mourned the loss of her sister. And she is interacting with the person who she knows is at least somewhat, is at best allied with the people who are responsible for the death of her sister. And the movie has to hold that while also holding this, we love these two characters, they're best friends, and also there's a love triangle going on right now in a way that just felt very tone deaf and bizarre to me.
Yeah. Also, again, if I can just borrow tropes from other things, you could have had they are friends, but Elphaba just realized that her sister's dead, and then she loses control of her powers, and then Glinda has to fight her to stop her from just wrecking all the people's houses that were like, you know, like they're fighting because one person is out of control, and she's like trying to prevent her from going like Super Saiyan, right? Yeah,
Glinda has to put Elphaba in a bubble to stop the the rogue type chaos that she's going to unleash.
Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of ways you could do this that just make sense. They don't have to be original. They just have to make some goddamn sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like from that point on, the movie is just sprinting toward the ending in a very confusing way.
Yeah.
Because we need to believe that, like, Elphaba, by the way, like, has just flown after fucking Fiero, right? Which is a thing I guess she really wanted to do. But even though I feel like the movie didn't... I mean, the movie gave us I'm Not That Girl from part one, so we know she pined after him a little bit.
Can we talk about the worst sex scene in film history?
Wait, we're talking about Watchmen? I thought we were talking about Wicked for Good.
No, but like this weird song where it's like, we're going to have a song because we're about to fuck. But we're also going to be like the least engaged in any sort of physical connection at all while the song is being sung about it. And, and it was like such a weird thing. I was like, what? Because it's just because children are going to come watch this movie. So you can't actually have them like going at it. You just have to have them like, she takes off her coat, but then puts on a giant Snuggie. And it's just like, I don't know why you're like, you still kept the song about you lusting after a person and how like, can I give into this feeling that I'm having right now? But it's just so tame. Not that it needed to not be tame, but it just feels so silly to me that like
I definitely giggled a little bit because the lyrics of that song, even though I know it's about their brief love,
it's about if it doesn't last that long.
If it turns out it's over too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was strange because I know Wicked is not like a G-rated movie. You know, this franchise obviously has some heavy themes, but it was a little strange to see a kind of sex scene, kind of not sex scene in that movie. But anyway, just like the total whiplash of like, here are the back-to-back domino events that happen in this movie. Glinda's wedding. Elphaba goes so she can confront the wizard. She and Glinda dance with the wizard and weirdly kind of seem like maybe Elphaba will go along with the wizard again and has just forgotten about this whole enslavement of a species, many species that he is doing right now.
But he said he was going to be good now, so
yeah,
she can be good.
And then Chesley or whatever, monkey's name is, he points. And so now Elphaba discovers other animals in cages. She already knew animals were being caged, but I guess these ones she feels more.
I mean, she knew the monkeys that can fly were being caged because they'll just fly away. But she didn't know the other animals. But she also knew that animals
had been being taken, and she knew that rules were being done to scapegoat them, and animals were leaving because they were being persecuted. But whatever.
Yeah,
Elphaba sees them.
Luckily, Elphaba has a special set of skills.
Yeah. Elphaba sees them and unleashes them all and makes the wizard run. And then she has him. She has him with her broomstick. The wedding has been interrupted. Fiyero appears and stops her from hurting the wizard.
Or does he?
Then, sort of. He stops the event from occurring and then turns what was I'm going to confront the wizard because I'm waging war against him into we have to escape for some reason. Even though Elphaba has all the power in this situation. But now Elphaba has to escape. They escape and immediately are fucking. And then while they're smoking their like post-coital, Ozarettes or whatever, she realizes her sister is in trouble and is about to die. She flies away.
Well, Stephen, he opened up her mind during their I don't know
what he laced in that Ozarette. But she flies away. We, for some reason, do not see the house fall on her sister. We see like the premonition that it's going to happen. And then we cut to broad daylight the next day.
Well, it took a while for her to get dressed and then fly to where that location was.
Yeah. Because she still had to have witty banter, like cute banter with him before. About how he thinks she's beautiful and he doesn't have to say that.
She had to figure out where she can shower without using water.
Yeah. Yeah. Hygiene is very important, You don't. She doesn't want to be the wicked witch of the yeast infection.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I couldn't get that one out there. Anyway, I'm not explaining the dominoes, but so we have just gone from intense confrontation with the wizard, escape, sex, my sister is about to die, cut to my sister has already died, we didn't show it, semi-playful fight over a love triangle with Glinda, cut to Fiyero is in trouble, I am on the other side of Oz, but I'm going to try to save him. I guess I assume I didn't save him. Halfway through me trying to save him. I don't know how I assume that or how I know that, but I just know that I'm never going to do anything good ever again. I'm going to be evil. I'm going to steal Dorothy. Glinda shows up because I knew you. I've been changed for good. That is the character journey. And I feel like there are no scenes in between those things. And it is crazy because that takes up like an hour of the movie. And I don't, yet again, there's this weird time dilation thing where I feel like more had to happen given the runtime of the movie. And yet those scenes are just like colliding into each other.
Yeah. What are all the good things she tried to do?
She
in both films. Like, I mean, she tried to make her sister walk.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to
Which is another thing that's weirdly glossed over. Like, the slippers are enchanted by her to make her sister be able to float, so I guess she could walk. And then we see her sister floating and being delighted, and then immediately it becomes about Bach, and the whole floating thing just never comes up again.
Yeah. Well, they're Bechdel slippers. So if she's thinking just about herself and not a man, she can float. But as soon as she thinks about a man, she sinks down.
That makes a lot of sense. Does Dorothy ever pass the Bechdel test?
I mean,
I guess not.
Just talking about the
she talks to
wizard.
Glinda. Well, she talks to Glinda a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, she's always talking about the wizard and the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah,
she's
you're right.
really concerned with the wizard.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about the character transformations in this movie?
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the one that at least halfway makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sister has a boyfriend. Somebody stole that boyfriend's heart. So she's like, oh, if I can just use this grimoire, then I can steal his heart. But instead, she removes his heart. Okay, that's kind of cool, like monkey paw situation. Like, I get that. Totally makes sense. But the way Elphaba saves his life is to turn him into a thing that's not alive, so doesn't need a heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he gets a heart, it's going to be like a Pinocchio situation where he'll become a real boy again. Like, I don't get right, because
So here's the problem: is this movie wants to figure out how he becomes the Tin Man and how he doesn't have a heart.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't have any way of justifying why he wants a heart.
Yeah. Because I get that, like, well, human no heart equal dead. Tin Man no heart equal Tin Man.
Sure.
Still alive. Also, doesn't he also want oil?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, again, this movie, it is a prequel for Wizard of Oz, but character-wise, the behavior of these characters in Wizard of Oz don't make sense. Like, if I'm the version of Bach in this movie who becomes, like, Alex Jones or whatever, you know, he's just, like, the most, like, the hate-mongering guy, right? He is just, like, so angry. I'm probably not needing oil and doing a dance. Picture me on a balcony clicking my heels, you know.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make any sense. But at least that transformation. But again, I don't know why that transformation. Why does all the good stuff happen off screen in this movie? Like the tornado and the house. Dorothy is intentionally kept mostly off screen, which I get. That's at least a wink or whatever. It's fine. Like, this isn't Dorothy's story. I don't know why transforming into the Tin Man, or we're about to get to Fiyero, why that happens without us seeing it. I don't understand that choice.
I think the reason is because it wants to be shot in a way where you don't know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, everybody knows what's coming.
Yeah.
But it wants to present it as a shocking reveal. It is trying to turn the Tin Man into Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein, right? Like, oh, this horrible monster, what happened to him, right? But instead, you're just like, so the tray that the tea is on is turning into a Tin Man to save him from having his heart removed?
It's strange because the Grimoire or Grindelwald or whatever it's called, like, that she's reading from, there are visual elements when she's doing these spells that are indicating what is going to happen, right? It's more clear in the Fiyero one, like this color of straw, this gold is like happening everywhere. I think the Tin Man, it is tinny, like it's like silvery colors that are happening.
I think,
but then it's also he's Magnetoing, like absorbing things in the room.
Yeah, like stuff is like wrapping around him. So here's my way to fix this and make it weird and scary and dark, right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna do like a real like Iron Man situation, but like instead of shrapnel near the heart and you need to put an arc reactor in there to pull the shrapnel away from the heart. Imagine if he's brokenhearted, his heart does not work, and then all the tin is turned into like a steampunk thing that is literally pumping his blood to keep him alive. He's still human, but he's like a Tin Man because his heart is made of tin, but it's like a steampunk like keeping him alive, and he needs a real heart from the wizard later. Obviously he becomes a full Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz, so they can't just retcon it so much, I guess, but like that would make sense in the context of the spells that are cast and how she saves his life, right? Like that would be kind of cool, but this makes just no sense how turning into a Tin Man saves you from having no heart.
Yeah, he seems to have lost his memory immediately too, because he is so credulous in believing Nessa when she says that this was all Elphaba's fault. Like, he knows Nessa was like this evil governess and tried to steal his heart, and he was there when Nessa ran to the Grimmery and started chanting things and like causing him to almost die. But then the moment he's Tin Man, he's just this like monster with an axe that is just like, oh, I'm angry at Elphaba.
Well, I mean, the axe is stuck there, so I mean, if
right,
if all you have is a hammer, everything.
I feel like they did him dirty, and this is as Broadway fans will know, I played the Tin Man in 7th grade.
As Broadway fans,
yeah,
yeah,
I was the Tin Man. I painted my face in silver. I had a big trash can that I wore and a like little funnel on my head, and I had to learn how to do the heel clicks in that.
And he's had mercury poisoning ever since.
Tin Man is a jolly fellow. Tin Man is not a hate monger.
Yeah, it's the way you played him, right? All right, can we talk about we talk about the fucking Scarecrow?
Sure.
Okay, so canonically, the Scarecrow is looking for a brain.
Yeah.
Right. So if you get brutally beat to death in the middle of a field of straw, how does becoming a scarecrow save your life? And why would you be looking for a brain?
Oh, you misunderstand. Fiero's looking for some brain. You have to... Urban Dictionary will help you out.
Oh, no.
No, this is, again, where I feel like the source material is confusing. Because if you take the musical as a whole, you can see an argument that Fiero is the kind of brainless. He literally sings it in part 1, like, life is painless when you're brainless, when you're dancing through life. Like, there...
Oh, I just thought that was foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, you could take, like, the start of his character and be like, see, he's literally going to become the Scarecrow. But the movie and the musical can't decide which it wants to do, because for him, that would be the arc. But that would mean he would have to still be that way when he becomes the Scarecrow. And instead, the movie has already made his transformation happen before then. So meanwhile, for Bach is not heartless, right? Nessa is heartless. So it can't settle on the metaphor of how the characters relate to the people they eventually become.
Yeah. Except for the cowardly lion. That makes sense, right? He was too scared as a child. And then he grew up still scared.
Yeah, he is consistent, at least. Though his reason for hating Elphaba, I knew that line in the song was coming when the Tin Man has to be like, she should have let him fight his own battles so he wouldn't be such a coward. But the movie makes it so there's an interaction before then in the forest where he is like the fearmonger, and he's saying that like, she took me away and she did all this to me. And it's just like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. And there's only 3 characters that Dorothy meets?
Yeah, those are the 3 that she meets along the way.
Because she's the 4th one.
Exactly. and we got the slippers, obviously, and we got the flying monkeys. You know, we covered a lot of ground.
I need to ask you about the monkeys. Did the wizard have some sort of monkey control device? Because if he dispatches the monkeys to go out and do stuff when Elphaba is wreaking havoc around the city, why do the monkeys come back? Like, when Elphaba does her, I'm going to unlock the cage and set you free, it's not like a genie where you're bound to the cage unless the wizard has some sort of cage-bounding magic
No, you're right.
thing.
The visual makes no sense. They have been free and doing his bidding.
Also,
and all of a sudden, when she lets them out of a little cage, then they love her and can escape.
But also, if you look up the thing that they're in,
it's open.
It's open at the top.
It's open. I know. Doesn't make any sense.
like and that, again, if it was a thing where like monkeys are so hideous when they have wings that society wouldn't accept them, so they were just like they were caging themselves to remove them from a society that didn't accept them, then it would make sense why Elphaba and them get along, because she's green, which is apparently hideous, except for also the line that like you're not ugly, this is just a different way of looking at you, is the wildest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and it really feels like you said that so you can say it again and turn the tables at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just wild.
Pretty clunky.
Nobody would accept that as an answer. Am I beautiful? I mean, you're not ugly. I just have different eyes now.
To me, and I know this is just me being a stickler for grammar or whatever, the most annoying one to me, because there were a bunch of little things where you say something that's meant to be a callback or will be called back to later, was Elphaba is talking to Glinda and says, like, this is between the wizard and I. It's between the wizard and me. It's between you and me, not you and I. Come on. You're calling back to just a song from part one? Like, who is cheering for that line?
Speaking of calling back to a song, is the Wizard's Wonderful song supposed to be a mirror of Popular?
Yeah, I think so.
It's the laziest fucking bullshit.
I will maintain, like, I think the music in the musical Wicked is generally pretty solid. Like, there are probably like 4 or 5. There's like 2 or 3 terrific songs, and there's a few like pretty good, and the rest are meh. I think the lyrics across the board are just dumb as shit.
Yeah.
Like even Defying Gravity, like it drives me crazy that like it rhymes me with me. Like there's things that are just like annoying in the lyrics. For those who would find me, take a message back from me. I don't know. I don't understand Broadway lyric writing. It seems like you can do better than that.
Yeah. It's no Tick Tick Boom.
Yeah, definitely no Tick Tick Boom.
Steven, can I be done with this movie now?
Yeah, I think we're done. And I think any fan of the Wicked franchise has probably not listened this long. If you have, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry about being negative on the movie. I'm sorry about Wicked Witch of the Yeast Infection. I apologize for everything that I've made fun of.
One last question, Steven. Were there guns in the first movie?
I don't think so. And if there were, if you're about to ask me, did they have holes at the end for bullets to fly out of? Because these ones sure don't.
I just assumed they were like wizard magic guns or whatever that shoot like, they're basically blasters, but
they might exist in the Wizard of Oz. I don't remember like the guards, what they carry. I'm not sure.
I just don't remember guns in the first movie. And then and like when our hunky brainless man who thinks with his grain instead of his brain.
Yeah.
When he pulled out a gun, I was like, have you had that the whole time? All right. That was my last thing I had to get out, Steven.
Yep. Sorry, everybody.
All right. Goodbye. We will see you next time.
Bye.